Good afternoon. Happy Pi Day. I'm Asher Patel, your president for the Rotary Club of Rochester. It's we'll have about 5 minutes in the room and on Zoom to enjoy the fellowship, and then we'll start our program. Thank you.
I'll give it to her. You got to know something. Oh, I'm good. Recovered. Well, we hope. Yeah. This is the best way. Avoiding all that. I don't have any at all. No, I think we have business title. Sign up. Yeah, sign up.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today on our Rotary Thursday speaker program. I'm Asher Patel, and your president for this year. I can't believe 3/4 of the year is already gone and we have only 3 months left. We look forward to taking a pause and a coffee. This month, just a reminder, this month is water and sanitation. And we'll start with air. So hi, Brad. So let's just take a pause, be present, forget your other work for an hour or so. Breathe in peace and calm and gratitude for the fellowship that we have together. And as you breathe out loving kindness, have an inner and outer smile. And we look forward to discovering things together as well as reflecting on whatever moves us. Thank you. Mark, would you like to share the 4-week test?
Thank you, President Ashra. Following the following test. Do you guys have these nice little cards in the back of the table? If you want to put one in your wallet or in your purse or in your pocket, always look at it. But let's do the 4-week test. It's also up here in the wall of the things we think, say, or do. First, things that are true. Second, is it where it will all concern? Third, will it build better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all? And number 5, is it fun? Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And Mark, while you're at it, or Frank, if you want to help since you're treasurer, we'll spend a little time for happy thoughts and happy bucks.
Happy bucks today. Welcome everybody. I will put the first dollar in. So I'm celebrating my 39th wedding anniversary.
You ought to say that.
I want to say that again. So this is my 39th wedding anniversary this week, and tried to get my wife to come today, but the dog's at the veterinarian having surgery, so she couldn't be here. But that's my happy buck today. I'll throw it in just a second. Which table wants to start first? Over here, Sarah.
I'll put in some happy bucks. Don and I joined some great friends from Kansas on a catamaran in the British Virgin Islands a few weeks ago. It was fabulous. We had a great time. And my second item is, as most of you know, our 100th anniversary of this club is coming up in 2025. You'll hear a lot more about that later. But if any of you have stored away in your closets, in your desk, in your files, old moccasin flower newsletters, especially from the years 2000 to 2004, our collection is complete, except we have some gaps in those years. So if you're cleaning out anything and you happen to run across that, please let me know. I'd love to see them.
Excellent. Asha, do you have a happy buck?
This afternoon I'm heading to St. Louis to meet up with my oldest daughter, Angela. Tomorrow is match day for people in residency and fellowship, and she'll learn where she's matched to for her family medicine residency. That, and I attended by Zoom, I attended a World Congress on Moral Injury, Spirituality, and Healing that was hosted at Harvard and Baylor University. There are a lot of global citizens, but it is really important agenda to raise awareness of the Rotary ethics as we deal with moral injury, moral distress, and thank you all for just being great Rotarians.
Thanks. Anyone else at this table? Sue?
I have happy bucks because I'm introducing 2 new Rotarians today to our club.
Excellent. Yeah, we jump over to this table, right?
This is for my anniversary. We've been happily married for 40 years. It's not bad at 4:57. See, I'm just happy to be here today rather than what I'm supposed to be doing because we're moving today across town.
You talk to your wife about this? Carl?
Good to be back from Alabama, and I have been back a week, and of course, we looked at your temperatures for the month of February, and many of your days were as warm as Alabama's. So,
Excellent. I saw some hands over here. Judy?
I've got a couple of things to be related, to be grateful for. On Tuesday, I was scammed and I didn't recognize it. Spent about 90 minutes on the phone before I clicked and I thought, oh, God. Well, then I was worried. So then I headed my computer in to get it fixed up, and sure enough, they left some garbage stuff on it. So I got that all cleaned up. So now I'm back with a computer that I dearly missed for this 24 hours missed, and I am grateful.
I'm just glad to be here and glad to be with you all.
I have one, Phil.
I'm grateful for new members coming in. I had a delightful afternoon visiting with Don Meyer yesterday. And it makes you realize everybody in the room who are Rotarians have special gifts. And I have to tell you, I think we scored a big one with Don. And I'm sure Terry is going to bring his best to Rotary too.
Excellent call. Sorry, Marilyn, I skipped over you.
Well, I am filled with joy because my son Bryce is getting married 2 weeks from Saturday to a lovely, lovely young woman. They've been together 6.5 years, so it's about time. But we dearly love her and her family, and we're looking forward to having a big celebration in Palm Springs, California.
Ooh. All right, now I'm at the back table here.
Okay, I'm finishing about a 3-week stretch, which is tough on my budget and also the florist do pretty well. I've had a wedding anniversary, I've got my daughter's birthday and my wife's birthday all in about a 2.5-week period. So I guess I'm gonna be good now for the next 8 or 9 months. Thank you.
Excellent. Did I miss anyone? Anyone else? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ben. You're awesome. All right. So, introduction to guests. Lee, do you want to? Before we get to that.
Do I have a list?
What's that?
Do I have a list?
There we go.
That joke I have done, I think, three times in 52 years, because I've been in 52 years here. Rick Swanson. Okay, you are a visitor.
Oh, I am.
Yes, where are you visiting from? I would have to leave. You would have to hold it, okay. I'm Rick Swanson. I live here in Rochester. I'm a guest of Joseph, so thank you, Joseph, for the invitation. And I hope you will ask me about how I'm working to build a culture of giving in Rochester. Great, great. Well, welcome, welcome. And Diane Martin, there we are. Okay. Diane?
I'm good, thank you. I'm a guest of Celeste Hofer, and I also am hearing over here, and Sue Luby. So they invited me to come, and I live in Rochester. Grew up in West Concord, and then moved away, and now I've been here for 29 years. And I work for a company called Shift, and we are shifting the way you do construction. So we do interior prefab modular construction. So if you take a wall like this and turn that into more of a modular design, Mayo's moving in that direction for flexibility of interior space. So I'm a working woman.
Great. Thank you very much. Is it something that you've done that you had to have your thing upside down? No, right below it? Right there. Hello, it's a little-
St. Patrick's Day.
In the old days, I did this a lot, and, we learned that you hold the microphone, because in the days that have gone by, someone else won't do it. I'll tell you some other stories. We have another one. Yes.
I'm the wife of the new inductee, and Chris Meyer is coming to watch my husband get inducted.
Are you hearing?
Pardon?
Are you hearing?
Carrying.
Hearing. Oh, okay. Okay, right up here. Anybody else? Well, let's give all a good hand.
Thank you, Lee, and welcome, everyone. Our next item is singing. Happy birthdays, Lori, Dave, Mark, Steve, Jennifer, Larry, and Barry. Barry's actually moved down to Florida now, but Jennifer's here, so let's go ahead and who likes to sing? And Larry. Larry's here. And anniversaries, Lee, you're up to 53 now. Steve, 24, Mary, 12, Mark, 6, Mariana, first year, Suzanne, sorry for the spelling, 27, Bill, 18, Heather, 11, and Robert, 1. So happy anniversary. A round of applause to everyone. And now it's my pleasure to have Suzanne come up with the 2 new inductees. So Don, if you'd like to come first, and then Terry will introduce you next.
I have the wonderful opportunity of introducing 2 new members today. They're not new to Rotary at all. Don Meyer is retired after working as an architect in Forest City, Iowa for 12 years, in the fundraising profession for 23 years at Waldorf University, and for 13 years at Wartburg College. He most recently served as the executive director for the Waverly Shell Rock Community School Foundation. Don has also served the community of Waverly as the Chamber of Commerce board chair and as a member and past president of the Waverly Historic Preservation Commission. Don served as district governor in 22-23 for Rotary District 5970. He has also served as a Rotary District Foundation chair and is past president of both the Forest City and Waverly Rotary Clubs. Don also serves on the Waldorf University Foundation Board. His hobbies include music, fishing, and baseball. Don and his wife, Chris, have 2 grown children and 1 grandson. And with that, we would like to welcome you to our Rotary Club.
Congratulations.
Okay, all right. Oh, good.
Yeah, he's nice.
Congratulations. Hey, Terry. Busy day. This is wonderful. It's exciting. Okay, Terry. Terry Smith was born and raised in Quincy, Illinois. In 1994, Terry entered the Salvation Army College for Officer Training in Chicago and was commissioned and ordained
as an officer pastor in June 1996. Terry was then appointed to South Bend, Indiana, Lansing, Michigan, Iowa City, Iowa, becoming a Paul Harris Fellow in Iowa City as a member of the Iowa City Noon Rotary Club and divisional headquarters in Detroit, Michigan. Following his time as an officer with the Salvation Army, Terry finished his bachelor's in human services and master's in communication from Quincy University in Quincy, Illinois. He went on to work as the Twin Cities Director of Development and Communications for the Salvation Army Divisional Headquarters in Minneapolis. In 2019, he became the Chief Development Officer for the second largest child welfare agency in Illinois, where he was also a member of the Downtown St. Louis Rotary Club. This past January, he became the Executive Director of the Two Rivers Habitat for Humanity. He is an avid music lover, traveler, and golfer. Finally, Terry has 2 adult children, Andrew, 25, and Lauren, 27, and a son-in-law, Brett, and is expecting to becoming a first-time grandfather in August. So he said that was part of his reason for wanting to move to Rochester. So we are fortunate.
Thank you so much, Suzanne, for the warm introductions, and congratulations again, and welcome Don and Terry. Marilyn, would you like to come up and share key topics, the Cook for Kids and Cradle to Grave?
Thank you, and many thanks to all of our volunteers for a week ago Tuesday, Cook for Kids at Jeremiah. So here's a picture from that evening, and our servers. Let's see, from your left to right, are Vile or Robert, Ling Zin, Dave, Heine, and Mariana, and they did a wonderful job. Dave said that they should always, but I shouldn't say that, because all of you are going to fight for an opportunity to do it. So, and then so many of you behind the scenes, many of you who are here today who did some marvelous cooking and purchasing of and baking, looking at Joseph, and purchasing of lots of healthy food for the meal that evening. So they have sent a thank you note or thank you card. On the front it says, "Imagine what can happen in a generation." And so I'll pass this around and then just get it back to me, or I'll look for it at the end of the meeting. Then just a quick update from Cradle to Career. So I'm the ambassador between Rotary and Cradle to Career. And the 3 ambassadors met with Julie Ruzek on March 1st, I think it was. So the first thing from Julie is a big thank you to the 3 Club Rotary. The leadership, as you know, a while back voted to give $10,000 to Cradle to Career for this year's education summit that will be held again in October. And it is so greatly appreciated because Cradle to Career is not the staff at Cradle to Career. It's really the entire community where they want and need all of the community involved in order to make their outcomes a success. And the question had come up with the $10,000, does that cover all the costs for the education summit? And Julie said it covers most of the tangible costs, such as the venue rental. It's a big one. And they will need a bigger venue this year because there's more and more people who are wanting to come. Also the lunch It covers the lunch and the supplies that are needed for the summit. Otherwise, there's a lot of in-kind donations that go to support this effort. So some information from Cradle to Career. They are very active right now in two of their networks, the prenatal to 3 and the transition to kindergarten networks. And all the work that they do is data-based, Olmsted County data-based, so it's very local. And what they're looking at in the prenatal to 3 network is access to prenatal care. And the reason that is so important is because without access to adequate prenatal care, babies are much more at risk of being born preterm. And babies who are born preterm, their brains are not fully developed, their bodies are not fully developed, and they're at much greater risk for having learning disabilities later on or developmental delays. So we really want to prevent preterm birth and make sure that everyone has access to adequate prenatal care. Related to both the prenatal to 3 and the transition to kindergarten is a focus on access to quality childcare. And some of you were involved in doing some surveying last year related to that. And that input from that, or that data that they gathered from that, they actually got input from the community at last year's Education Summit as far as how to move forward. The other thing that they're doing is that they realize, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. First of all, what they found, and you'll not be surprised by this, that there is a big disparity, as there is statewide, as there is nationwide, between children of color and the mainstream or white children as far as their how well they are doing in school and how well they're doing prenatal on. And so what they found is that those who are not doing well, including in access to prenatal care and including the access to quality child care, are the Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, and non-English language populations. And so they are bringing in, they have tripled the size of their parent council in order to bring people from these communities onto their parent council to advise them. And recently they met with the Transition to Kindergarten Network with the experts from those populations in the community to get their input as far as what are the barriers for their community and access to quality childcare. Because, we might think that the experts are we have in the past thought that the experts are those who serve these communities, but we know that the expertise really lies within the community and listening to what their needs are. And I've seen a lot of you shaking your heads, so I'm preaching to the choir here. Okay, so lastly, there's an ask from the leadership table of Cradle to Career. And the ask of everyone in the community, including Rotary, since we're a big partner with them, is please be our champion in the community. Be their champion for Cradle to Career. And one way you can do that is to follow them on social media. They're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And so I can put this, I'll be putting this in the Maxim follow too. But their hashtag is @CradleToCareerMN. So please go out and like their page if you are on Facebook or Instagram, and follow along and support Cradle to Career in our community. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Marilyn. You are such an ambassador for public health in its broadest sense and equity. And I really do hope all of us continue either in-kind support or how we can volunteer to champion all of these issues. It's now my pleasure. We did take care of global security and had a visit with Rotation Day over at the Northwest Support Center. Thank you for all of those who were attending. I'd like to just remind us that on Wednesday, March 20th, Joseph and the team has the earth cleanup crew over at White Oak Park. And then you'll go to other spots on earth, I guess, like Forty Hill, maybe. Rochester Fest, save the date, it's that whole week of 22nd to 30th, but specifically June 22nd, 26th is the day for the service clubs to get together and showcase as well as enjoy the rewards of serving our Rochester community. And now it's my honor to have Sarah come up and introduce our wonderful speaker who I just have to add 2 comments. One, I've known since 2008, and he's taught me lots about how to become a master of disaster after I created my own disasters and help the community understand the complexities of agency cooperation. And the other, he's a wonderful judge, ambassador, not only for Special Olympics and Salvation Army, but as a host of Dancing for the Arts. And in 2017, he had a chance to watch me do a little bit of a tango without children. So, Sarah.
Thank you, Ashok. I just want to certainly give credit to Vicki Allen, who's online, but unfortunately not feeling the best today. Vicki arranged this program and would have loved to introduce our program, but I'm subbing for her. It's our pleasure to welcome Sheriff Kevin Torgerson. He's been serving in law enforcement continuously since 1980, and he is our current Olmsted County Sheriff. He began with Hennepin County in 1980 in the law enforcement. Then he moved to Olmsted County in January of 1986. In 86, he served in the patrol division primarily, but spent 6 years as the first school liaison officer in Olmsted County, mostly focused on teaching the DARE program to elementary and middle school students. Sheriff Torgerson was assigned to the Rochester Olmsted County Emergency Response Unit during that same time. In 2008, he was promoted to captain and served in the patrol and the Homeland Security and Emergency Management until he first became sheriff in January of 2015. He's involved in many statewide and national organizations with a lot of acronyms. So I'm really not going to go there. As we know, he's very visible with Special Olympics, the Rochester Polar Plunge. Why a grown man in a full uniform would jump into icy water every year, I don't know, but it's his thing. So he was sworn in as the 27th Olmsted County Sheriff on January 6, 2015, and has subsequently been reelected in 2018 and 2022. He's married and has 2 adult children. His wife is semi-retired from teaching in a Christian preschool for 25 years. Their son is a doctor who specializes in hematology and oncology. And their daughter is an elementary Spanish immersion teacher. And I'm sure they enjoy 1 granddaughter and 2 grandsons. So we're pleased that he's here with us today, and he's going to give us a view inside the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office.
First thing I'm gonna do is take a page out of the Ashok book here. Oh, there. Gotta make sure I have Ashok in the picture. That's important. Well, thanks for inviting me, Vicki. I know, hope you're on the mend there. I know you had a little patch last night. Certainly hope that you can get back with it as quickly as possible. So that's what I'm gonna try to do real quickly is, try to get through a lot of, our office and stuff like that. And I had a question right out of the bat from Sarah this morning, or earlier today, as I got here, I'll get this out of the way. But, is why the sheriff, why elected, you know, whatever else. So we can turn the page. It's a lot of history. And I'm not gonna read all these slides as they go through them, but the main thing is, that, when you had the tithings and think back now, kind of put your brain in the Robin Hood days. You know, that movie, and whether it's Kevin Costner or the Disney version with the cartoons, you know, pick your favorite, Robin Hood. But the sheriff was the evil guy, right? Well, that's where it comes from. That's how it started, not from Robin Hood. Before that, it was a real deal. Where they had the Shire, and Reeve was the person who collected taxes. And the king just decided, hey, that guy's got some control over those people, and maybe I can use them differently at the local level, and boom, there it evolved. So we can flip over to the next page. So that's what it says there in the beginning is the sheriff. The king of England recognized that the sheriff or the Shire Reeve had a lot of influence on those people. And that's what it is, a sheriff position, sheriff's office in a sense. They didn't call it an office back then. They were appointed. Shouldn't say either. Very likely there was some females in that at that time as well. So go back to your real long ago history education and learning. It's actually mentioned, the sheriff is mentioned in the Magna Carta. So that's one of the founding documents of a lot of democracy and everything else around the world is the Magna Carta. So that's how far back it goes. And so the history is really deep and very, very interesting. So then the position of sheriff really grew, and I made that note in there related to Robin Hood arresting the fugitives, and even bring it even closer during the COVID time, that period of time a few years ago. We were getting a lot of questions of what was the sheriff going to do, because the sheriff's an independent elected official in all states across the country, and there's a lot of different things going on, and are you going to enforce this, not enforce that? I was getting emails and phone calls constantly about those things, but it makes for interesting conversations and so on and so forth. So you see the rest of the things there as far as what our position really is about and where it started. And much of that is the same today, so we can keep flipping pages. So a little more history about how the sheriffs evolved in the United States from 1634 all the way to 1802, and the sheriff was then ingrained in place in the Ohio Constitution, where it became part of that, and that's what a lot of the states have followed even to this day. Is the sheriff is in Minnesota, he has a statute sheriff, meaning that there's a statute that identifies this is what the sheriff is identified as, that they will be elected. It started, you can go to the next one. So it goes all the way back to the statehood, actually before pre-statehood for here in Minnesota, 1849 to 1858. The sheriff was already doing some things. There was marshals and there was some other things going on too at that time, but the sheriff was really just grandfathered in right through statute. And in the early years, they were elected every 2 years, and that's reflected if you look at our website and you look up sheriff in history, you'll see the early sheriffs of the 27 that I represent now, the early ones were getting elected every 2 years. It was continuous rotation. And then, you know, and as it says there, that it was changed in 1913 to four-year terms, which it still is today. And then the key point here too, 1958, the State Sheriff's Association, which is still very active today. We do a lot of lobbying with people at the Capitol and state office buildings, basically every day, trying to help legislators understand what's important to us and what's not. And sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't, but then that's politics. Yes.
I have to go because
Oh, go ahead.
my parking meter, and I don't want you
Oh,
to.
no. So the police department will write the ticket, we'll get it when you don't pay it, and it becomes a warrant, then we'll come down. To the court. You're welcome, take care, I hope it works out for you. That's fun. Anyway, in 1958, the Sheriff's Association, back to that last one, at the bottom bullet there, Sheriff's Associations put out kind of it wasn't an order, but it was an agreement amongst the 87 sheriffs, the 87 counties of the state, that we would not be aligned with a political party, that we would be apolitical, and we didn't want to be pushed one way or the other, and the independence of that today, and for me anyway, I think it's been fantastic because I don't have to, you know, attend this group or that group and explain the different sides. I just tell it like it is and what we feel is important and how that's important as far as public safety goes across the entire county. And I think it's a great thing. There are a few, Hennepin County has become, Hennepin and Ramsey have become a little more partisan. But really that's it. And it's not necessarily there. I don't know that Sheriff Witch or Sheriff Fletcher up there really adheres to one side or the other, but there's a lot of pull different ways with those two. But anyway, we're apolitical and I love it. I think it's a great thing. So in our 169-year history of the Sheriff's Office, there's some of the documents there. The shortest term was Stanley Anderson, more recently in 1990-91 he finished. The term of Sheriff Chuck Monball, who still is alive today, who lives out at the Waters. Chuck's just an amazing guy. He was the one that hired me when I came, and that's not why he's amazing. But no, it's a pretty good decision. But yeah, he's just an amazing guy, and it's fun to get the chances to meet him and stuff. And then so as the history goes, and I'm the 27th elected sheriff. There's one sheriff in the middle there, and I always forget his name. I keep telling myself I should put it in the slide. That was did a 2-year term. Another sheriff did a 2-year term, and then he came back. It's the same initials and the same person. I just don't have any documentation whether it's the same guy or not. So technically, it could be just 26 of them, but he was reelected in a separate term. So you know, that's how they would do it. So anyway, next one. So there's a lot of legislation, as I mentioned, that really identifies the sheriff. Sheriffs are mandated by statute. So a lot of what we do is required of us by various statutes. We have to have a jail, and the police departments don't have to. So we do that comparison. We are required to have jail or detention at the local level. We're required to protect judges, the courts, and do those things. So we don't have a choice on that. We must do that. Even say, for instance, our neighbor to the west here, Dodge County, they don't have a jail, but they have to contract with someone, so they contract with us. So their detainees, when someone's arrested in, say, Dodge Center, they have to bring them all the way here to have them booked in because they don't have a facility over there. But when they have court, they have to come here and take them back to Dodge County for court and see the judge over there. So it works good for them. They like the idea of that, and the sheriff over there enjoys the idea of not having to deal with the jail, because jails are very challenging. Because we have to take care of every need that every detainee has, whether it's their mental health, it's their basic health, just all of the different challenges that go on with that. And then there's, the list goes on. We have the transporter. We have to be the Navy in each county. We have to have water patrol and or recovery. We don't have any natural lakes in Olmsted County, plenty of rivers. And whenever there's drownings or things like that, that's our folks that come into play. We have good cooperation with the Rochester Fire Department. They have some boats and they can respond and do some what they call swift water recovery. But generally our guys are the ones who come in when things are not very good and it's a challenge. So many other things too. As far as the law enforcement side of it goes, we are required to protect the unincorporated areas of the county. So all of the townships and then the small cities, so like Stewartville and Byron, Riota, Orinoco, they can contract with us. We don't come in there and drive through, But if they don't contract with us, then we won't stay there and spend specific time. We'll just come and go and do what we need to do and handle priority calls, which means medicals and, you know, life-saving situations. But if they don't have a contract, then we're not required by statute to be there and patrolling and, you know, doing the normal stuff that you would see with the police department. So it's kind of unique, and that's why there's contracts. And that's the rest of that. So there you go. Next one is just a quick thing. This is, you know, for you, you all know where you're at. We're in the big amoeba in the middle there in the city of Rochester. And then we cover all that county and space outside the city of Rochester. And generally, but today now I can look at my phone and look at the app. We probably have about 6, 7 deputies out there right now that are specific to patrol with a supervisor. And then as the day goes on, that expands as we bring in more people for the most active time of the day, which is from about 3 p.m. to 1, 2 a.m. We can move on. So breaking it down, our office is on the law enforcement side. So we identify that as 2 sides to the office. We have a law enforcement and detention side. The law enforcement side, that long list is there with all the different things that we do. As was mentioned earlier, Ashok, we were talking about that. I was in emergency management. We have a captain that oversees that. That's the emergency manager for the entire county. The city of Rochester has an emergency management department, but they collaborate and work together. And we really like that. That was one of the evolutions when I was in emergency management. Was prior to me, Homestead County and the sheriff and the captain that was in that assigned position had to do all of it. And I got in there, I'm like, whoa, wait, time out here. After 9/11 and all the different things going on, I was really advocating that we needed to have, the city needed to handle some of their own stuff, because we just weren't going to be able to do it with what we had available. And that's worked out really quite great. So we are required, the county is required again by statute to have emergency management. The county of Homestead decided to give that to the sheriff, and it's worked out, I think, quite well. Then we have a public safety training center, which is unique. Not everybody has that. This is actually regional. We can bring in fire and law enforcement groups from all over the region if they want to. It's by choice, they're not required to, but there's a lot of required training in our training center. We're just now getting a building. There'll be classrooms and some other training facility in it. But we've got outdoor facilities with the driving track. We all have to learn how to drive fast and make corners and not hit stuff. So we're required to do that with our training. So we've got a driving track out there. It's not like a regular, you know, racetrack that you would see in Daytona or something, but it does serve our purposes quite well. So we can slide and move in. So on the license side, the law enforcement side, there's 83 deputies. And they're assigned to all of those different positions. In a lot of ways, there's guys protecting the courts and transporting detainees to prison and bringing them back, and just a whole host of different things. We have 2 mechanics that are full-time, and they just take care of all our cars and our boats and our snowmobiles and everything else that we have that a sheriff is required to do. And then we have 13 and a half other staff. The half person is the guy who takes care of the training of the outfit, mows them on, and make sure all the training facilities are working. So next one. When a person is newly hired, which has been a challenge, but we are fully staffed. That's a question they get a lot. They get 6 weeks of in-house training, and what that means is they're just learning our office, everything from policies to the physical stuff and how we want them to use force and not use force and can't use force and various things like that, making sure they're a good fit to us. And then they go on 13 weeks outside in a squad car with another officer there who's trained to oversee them, and basically is their first line supervisor at that level to watch their every move and expand their responsibilities as they go. And then they graduate out of that and begin in our patrol division. When I started up in Hennepin County, it wasn't that way. Hennepin County, when I started, I was full-time licensed officer, but I worked in the jail for 3 years, and then I worked in dispatch radio for 3 years. Well, the whole 6 years I was out there, I was in a squad car. I went out and did some special warrant details and some other stuff. I worked in courts and bailiff, but it was just a big difference when you went in Hennepin County, which is, where Minneapolis is, compared to what we were doing down here. And then the next neat thing I think about a sheriff's office, and you're not gonna see this with a police department, is all the different lateral opportunities within the office. There's so much diversity within what we can do. So you're not stuck in a police car, driving that car day in, day out, nights and weekends, your whole career. We move our people in and out, keeps them fresh, keeps them positive, I think, in a lot of good ways. And it just gives people so many opportunities to do all the different things. And I don't know if you can read all those things. Somebody's calling me on the other phone, leave me alone. But there's a whole bunch of different things. Canine handlers, firearms instructors, I mentioned the DARE officers or drug recognition experts are a big deal right now with the marijuana changes and stuff that we're doing and how we keep our roads safe. So a lot of those different opportunities, a lot of training involved with all of that, but it keeps everybody really in a good place throughout their career. So I'm trying to hurry because I want you to ask questions. I mentioned special equipment. We're required to have both an 80 through our office. We also have snowmobiles, so we patrol and support the DNR in the winter months. So I don't even think we got our specs out this year. But we did, we'll fire them up and we got it ready. And then we have UTVs, ATVs, side-by-sides, whatever you want to call it, for, whether we're going out and rescuing a hunter who fell out of a tree or, somebody who, use them to find lost people out in the woods. A lot of different things we use them for. As well as for just some specialized patrol up at the fair and things like that. So all of our specialized equipment has really good purposes and our mechanics keep those in great shape. Now on to the detention center. That's where it is. So right at the government center, most people walk by that as they enter the government center and don't realize we've got 100 plus people inside that building there that don't want to be there. So that's the detention center. So we can move to that. It's a little smaller group because as far as divisions, you can slide to the next one. There's not as many different areas within the detention side of the office, but they are still very, very, very important as far as the where people can go and the different things that they do. The biggest portion of our office is related to the operations division. That's just basically operating the facility and maintaining the detainees and stuff. So next slide. The bringing on of new hires and such is basically the same. With our detention side, there's an academy that they put on that really gets them in gear. And what's unique here is, I didn't say this in the others with law enforcement, but law enforcement in Minnesota, we're the only state in the country that requires law enforcement officers to have college education. So a minimum of 2 years, RCTC supplies that for the 2-year program, Winona, Mankato. Pretty much every 4-year college in the state, including the University of Minnesota, has a criminal justice program, which we see a lot of people continuing through that and getting a 4-year degree. But nonetheless, you have to have a 4-year degree in Minnesota before you can even begin to take the law enforcement finalized or finishing classes, which also is done out here at RCTC and a few colleges around the state, including Alexandria Tech College, which is probably the largest law enforcement training facility for new people in the state. On the detention side, GED or high school diploma is the minimum requirements there. So when we bring these people in that 6-week academy, that's intense. They're going inside a place that nobody likes to be there. Nobody wants to be there. And they're trying to run scams and cons on you all day long so that they can just entertain themselves. And it's an interesting place. When you walk in and that big old steel door slams behind you, you gotta be prepared for that. So when we bring these people in, we've got accountants in there. We've got people that sold houses and built houses and just people from all walks of life, teachers that have changed professions and just said, I just always wanted to do this, and boom, we got a job for you, let's go. So 6 weeks in there, pretty intense, where the college, the law enforcement side, those folks have been kind of building themselves and getting their mind right into that line of work for a while. With the detention side, it's a whole culture change for many of them. Then we have a 13-week similar field training where they're side by side with the experienced detention deputy who's training them and making sure they're ready to go, signing them off on all the policies. And again, we're taking care of every detainee's every need 24/7, no matter what it is. They just got the Dear John letter from the girlfriend back home or wherever, or they had a bad day in court, or maybe they had probate court and the judge took their kids away. I mean, those needs that they have are tremendous down there. We just try to keep a lid on it as best we can. So in doing that, and keeping the lid on, we've got a whole bunch of other responsibilities that they can do with it, the detention deputies can do with inside the facility. Again, if there's some training things on there, some different assignments, the programs area is a really important one. Peer support is really important for both sides. We do a lot of work on that with our own mental health and wellness, as we call it, to work with our people. Another one down in the lower right corner there, it says Children of Incarcerated Parents is a really neat program where we're trying to, lessen the blow of those kids that are coming to visit their moms and dads that they're locked up. And how we soften that a little bit because we want to do like Cradle to Career and Jeremiah program and all that, and lessen the impact of that as much as we possibly can. It's still a detention center, and it's still kind of big and scary. But we try to work on that and do some things there. And then our programs area just does a ton of work to try to help people. We have a GED program in there. We've had a program that's really cool called Parenting from the Inside Out. So getting our detainees to actually learn how to be good parents and adults. There's several graduates there too, so it's really pretty neat. So now we can go to the next one. So what's it look like inside? I didn't take any pictures or have any pictures to show you, but you're certainly welcome to come for a tour if you want to. We're happy to, you'll get out again, trust me. So there's 5 units in there. 2 of them are 48 beds. So every cell is double bunk. There's could be 2 people in each cell. And then there's 1 unit for our females, which is challenging. And we'll see if I get to the time on that. Special management is where we have the people that have some really strong mental health challenges and they can't be with others or some other special needs or things like that. So we just got to keep them separate from others. We get that all the time. You got 2 people out there who do bad crime, they can't be together. One of them has to be held somewhere else. And sometimes we even move them out of our facility and send them up to Goodyear or went on different places like that. And we have to go around and get them because we can't have them inside the facility. I see I have special management on their place. I didn't fix that slide. And then the 16-bed segregation and intake. Oh, I know what the other special management is. That's why it's there. I just have to label it. So we have a 1 unit that has 3 sections to it. They each set those 3 sections there: intake, special management, and segregation. Hello. Intake is when they first come in, we have to keep them separate from everybody else. We can't let them just wander and go right into the big units. We want to make sure we know who they are. This is really important because they may be coming off some drug addiction. 95% to 99% of the people that we have in there either have mental health challenges or addiction issues. And so that first several days while they spend the time in intake is really important as we kind of find out, how they're doing. Are they coming down, going up, and whatever part of the climate they're on. We've got to try to figure that out, and sort that out, and get them the help they have. Our jail, our detention center has had since we moved in there, really, in '93. We've had both a mental health caseworker, a social worker, that's all he does is work on the mental health aspect of things and finding the needs and finding the resources to bring them into the facility to help these folks as best we can. There's limits on it. And then we have a social worker who also is trying to work on what's going on with them inside and outside and bridging the gap so that hopefully they can set up some resources for them when they do get out, because they're all going back out again. The vast majority of them are getting back out and going to be back in the community. So we try to do what we can to support them in that way. So the intake, special management, and then segregation, basically in the movies they call it the hole. That's where they go when they've been a bad boy or it's bad guys. For the females, we just have 1 unit. They just get locked down. It's kind of scary to think that they get locked down for 23 hours a day, but that's what they get. And then that's kind of the detention within the detention center. It's about the only punishment we can do. There's a few other things we do to kind of get their minds straight and get them back on the right track. as far as, activity. They might not get visits from, people for a day or two. We just try to get them to, again, take things away from them. It's like you do with your kids. You've got to discipline them somehow, and we try to do the best we can. So, next, keep track of us. And I saw this too. I should have taken that one slide off, but at the bottom there, we don't have an emergency management one anymore. We merged that into our sheriff's one. So there's really 2 Facebook pages that you can follow us on and stay in touch with us. Our Walton County Sheriff's Office page is very active. We do all our weather watch stuff that's emergency management wise, comes on that page now. And then I have a Sheriff Kevin page, which is where those pictures will be this afternoon. I tell the world that we were talking today and had some time together. And then we can keep moving. We try to stay as much in contact with our community as possible through every avenue. So we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. We can keep moving around LinkedIn too, and YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. Go to YouTube. We put out all kinds of fun videos. In fact, after I became sheriff, we hired a guy, and that's all he does. It's our social media. He does all our contact, creates our videos, does our promotional videos, and he's just an awesome guy. Him and his wife came from Illinois. He was at Western Illinois University doing their football and basketball men's program and traveling all over the country and stuff. And they were gonna have a baby, and they're like, he's from Chatfield, she's from Lewiston. In fact, the other one, his wife works for Alarm. So it was a pretty good match. In fact, they got the 2 of them, and they're just both awesome people to be a part of that. So as far as community involvement, we do a lot of things, and we try to do as much as we can. Yeah, there be polar plunging, we do all that. In fact, I should be plunging right now at Century High School, but I'm here with you. That's okay. I plunged yesterday at Mayo, and I'll plunge tomorrow again as a road in Zap. It's being called Cool School Plunges, where we really get the unified schools and bring support programs through Special Olympics and the Torgerson to encourage students to have, and schools to have joint classes. So instead of having and they still have a separate special ed class, like we're all probably most familiar with, but they also now have unified classes where they come together and have students who are willing to sign up for that course, along with the athletes or with Special Olympic type folks or special ed folks. And they do different projects and things together. And Mayo's got a great program. Century's doing it. Jam's got it going. We just didn't get a plunge up there this year, but they're all on the plunge next year. So, but anyway, we do a lot of different things. House of Shields is unique because it's here in Rochester. That's a program that some RPD guys got started, and we support it and help with it. Have some people on the committee, and that's a house where apartments, 3 apartments, where anyone with law enforcement connections from anywhere in the world who's coming here to Mayo to have their medical work done, they get to stay in one of our 3 apartments for free for as long as they need. So whatever it is, they're coming here, and it's over at the old town hall. So if the county does whatever they're going to do with that and the homeless thing, we're going to go, wow, we got to have a place. But it's a great program, and it's really kind of neat to see that. But anyway, a lot of other things. Our Memorial Foundation is a part of that. And we can go to the next page. So Jackie Werner is the one law enforcement officer deputy that was still in line of duty in our office in 1977 at the south entrance to Apache Mall. So every time you go through that wacky intersection down there on the south side of the mall by Macy's, Jack was killed there by a guy who set out that night to go kill a police officer. That was his goal that day. He jumped out and shot Jack. Jack was a dad, had 2 daughters. His youngest was 4 months old at the time, so she never really knew her dad, and or 18 months old. And the other one was 4 years old. And the 18-month-old at the time still lives here in Wellesley County, and we stayed in pretty good touch. His wife and his older daughter live up in the cities, and we're in contact every now and then. And then just a few years ago, Mark Anderson, who was one of our detention deputies, the next one, died inside our facility. Just had a massive heart attack. And so, you know, we take our wellness and all of that very, very, very seriously. But even though we do those kind of, the work that we do, it's really challenging. heart attacks and stress and all of that related to what Mark does even inside the detention facility. He's not out chasing bad guys and stuff, but it's still really a difficult place to work and challenging. So we always want to remember our heroes and know that their families know, make sure that their families know that they will never be forgotten. So our history in our office covers all of those things. So there you go, boom. 101. Questions or anything? I'll stick around too. I got nothing until 4 o'clock today, so I'll hang out. But anyway, that's a real quick shot of our office. If there's one question, maybe guesser. Seems like the whole,
Seems like the whole law enforcement thing has become so much more political today.
Oh, yeah.
How does that affect things like your staff morale and public perception of
Yeah.
your office?
Well, number one, public perception part of it, that's why we do the social media we do. We try to do it, that's why we have our YouTube page and put that stuff on our social media because we wanted to tell our story. The media doesn't always have time to tell our story, or sometimes doesn't care to tell our story. And you get situations like happened a few years ago that's been really difficult with George Floyd and that terrible situation there. We had nothing to do with it, but we're paying the price. And people are assuming that we are part of that. We do that for meetings. And we said, there was a thing that came out that summer afterwards, the 8 that can't wait. And it was a list of things that each law enforcement agency in the country, it was an organization that became quite popular nationwide. And they sent it to every sheriff and chief and said, these are things you better be doing, da 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 da. And I got the 8 can't wait. And I'm like, okay, we're already doing all 8 of those things. So maybe we're okay, but it didn't change anything. I responded back to them and said, no, we've been doing this stuff, some of it for decades, as far as our, taking care of people, how we train them and stuff like that. So it's just a battle. It's hard. Shooting up in Burnsville, we have local connections here, obviously, with the Finset family and family for many, many years. And, that strikes our people every time we go to work. We know could be a difficult day, we get it, but we volunteer for it. It's calling, it's something you gotta wanna do. Like I say, with our training for the detention center, taking people out of, regular jobs from wherever and turning them into somebody who can do that job it's a lift. And we have a lot of turnover in there because we do have people that come in and go, yeah, I'm not gonna make it here. And we're okay with that because we want them in the right place inside there. So it's really difficult. I think that kind of the aftermath, riots, all the other events that went on in 2020, it not only was a challenge on all our people, but it really hurt our families. I personally going home, trying to counsel my wife, who's been my wife for 43 years. And she's been in it for a long time and heard all my stories, well, most of them, and heard the really nasty ones. And even it was a tough time and still is. So it's a day-to-day process. We've added peer counselors in our office, so we have people that are trained to counsel each other. We've added chaplains in the last few years, as well as our PD and RFD. Which has been a great boost to us to help on that side of things. They're not proselytizing people, they're not coming in to change their faith or anything. They're just here to do a listening ear. And then we've been doing, and that was one of the 8 can't wait, is that they demanded that deputies have some kind of access to psychological counseling and things like that, and therapy. And we'd already been doing that and have been doing it for a long time. That's a great boost as well. And anytime we have a traumatic event, whether it's a bad situation, say a murder on the road or a suicide attempt or somebody's committed it inside the facility, which we have had, unfortunately, that takes a toll on our staff. And boy, the sign-ups for the mental health part of it, the requests for the chaplains and demands for the peer counseling sessions really ramp up, and they go pretty busy for a while, and then people get back where they need to be and stuff. So Short question, long answer, but yeah, it was a lot long.
Thank you. And today, we thank you for your leadership and your service to our community.
When anyone said that to me, I learned from a wise, older, veteran, military veteran, a long time ago at a vets program out at the International Men's Center. And he was standing next to me and people were coming up and thanking us and things like that. So I was there standing and talking to him, and he turned to this person and did that and said, you know, I do it because it's worth it. It's worth it. You are worth it. And so thank you. I appreciate that. And our people appreciate it, but you all are very worth it. So that's what we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Torgerson, for realizing your vocation, for staying apolitical, and for looking after all of us in the many ways that you just shared. In your honor and your office's honor, we will be sharing a donation to the Alzheimer's Association. And we'll remember this program a long time. So thank you so much. We want to thank all the people that helped us put the program together today. So let me see if I can remember. Jennifer and Lee for greeter, John Woodruff at the desk there, Sherston for technical support, Suzanne Denison for introducing our 2 new Rotarians and just being a good ambassador. Marilyn, thank you for the extra input for your Cook for Kids and Jeremiah program and the Cradle to Career. Mark for the forward test, Lee for introducing our guests. And if I forgot anybody else, welcome and let's go.
New members go to the back so everybody can greet them.
Okay. We'll give them half a minute. That's right. So let's go create hope in the world.